The third generation of the BMW X6 is like a burst of fresh air blowing in all too familiarly from Spartanburg, South Carolina, USA. Why do I say that? Well, because that's where the car is made, but when you also compare it to its predecessor, the new car is miles apart. And yet the familiarity comes from the kind of performance, build and interiors the recent launches from BMW have got us used to. This is the absolute beast in the company's lineup. The car is wider, a tad shorter, and has a longer wheelbase than the second generation did. It also has a front grille that might eat you and your neighbor Mr. Sharma for lunch if you're not looking. And by the way, it also gives you BMW's first ever illuminated grille, an optional extra that could be the perfect show-off party trick to impress your friends and family. Yes, now I have all of Delhi NCR and Punjab's attention. The grille's glow feature is reserved just for the X6 for now. You can either have it light up all the time when the headlights are on, or just when you unlock or lock the car. Now BMW is the one that started off all of these coupe SUVs, and I say that with disdain because I think many of you know, not a fan of the body style, but I am going to say this, of all the three generations of this car so far, this has got to be the most good looking, and dare I say it's pretty. I like the way it looks. I can't believe I'm saying that. It's proportionate, it's stylish, and especially at the back here, I think it really has its own distinct personality. Taillight treatment, kind of like what you're seeing on the sports cars from BMW these days, so I like that. And the proportions work. It doesn't just look like an X5 with its roof lopped off. It looks really like it has a nice stance, looks muscular too, and very powerful and energetic. Now, I'm surprising and shocking myself as I say this. Continuing in that vein then, all those proportions seem to tie in beautifully to that giant front grille. You know, this is the first new model from BMW where we aren't focusing on that grille, because from word go, it doesn't bother me. I think it really looks nice. It's almost in keeping with the stance and size of this vehicle. The finish is really nice. 40i that I have with me looks great. This color, beautiful. Yes, on looks, the X6 rocks. Yes, I am shocked at myself. Or, considering the times we live in anyway, the world has truly gone on its head. Optional laser light headlamps, that big sporty bumper, the roofline, the overall proportions like I said, build quality, tailgate lip, the chrome-tipped exhaust pipes, the tail lights, and this riverside blue paint job. Oh yes, please. Oh, and before you get confused, there are 12 paint finishes to choose from, including something called a metrin. Now that's the same purpley maroon shade that I drove the X6M in a few days ago. So yes, that is what I wanted to quickly segue in and out of. My last BMW drive was indeed the X5 and X6M competition twins. So I've spent time with an X6 before, only a much more powerful one. Now the new X6 has been offered in India with a 3-litre inline-6 petrol engine, and even though it's not the range-topping V8 on the M50i, it is still plenty powerful. The car is agile, powerful, and altogether fun. Needless to say, the X-Drive or all-wheel drive is standard. While the last X6 was also nice to drive, this one is just a whole lot sharper. It is the handling and cornering that have just soared to new heights. It also does not feel as big or heavy as it really is, and that's a hat tip to the engineering. Overall, it's really sporty. So BMW is pretty much decided for now, with a lot of its CBUs, in any case you've seen this, petrol only. In case there is a demand, because you know there's a shift that's been happening now for a while, and which is why they've sort of opted not to bring in the the diesel, but you do have, of course, a nice powerful diesel in this car, and if required, it could be brought in. Maybe then subsequently that could also be locally assembled. But for now, it's this car that's coming in. It's just that one engine, and it's an engine we know well. The familiar motor has served well on several BMW models. The 335 bhp setup is not its highest tuned output, but does well on this car. Peak torque has a nice wide band, and it shows in the way that the engine responds. The 3 litre is really responsive. It's also really agile, and it's like I said, it's an engine we've seen on other cars too from BMW, so we know it well. The gearbox married to it beautifully, and throw in the fact that you also have the twin axle adaptive air suspension, and then you're really talking, because in terms of dynamics, it really adds a lot of sportiness to it when you want it to be like that, and it also gives you a lot of comfort. So ride quality is fantastic. And that's the good news, especially for Indian buyers. Do note though that the adaptive 2-axle air suspension is standard only on the X-Line trim, but it's optional on the M Sport. What will attract you is how quickly the car accelerates and even gets to triple-digit speeds. The ride does feel a tad stiff at those higher speeds, but will still be extremely comfortable, yes, even in the back. The new X6 xDrive 40i has a top speed limited to 250 km per hour, and it does 0 to 100 km per hour in 5.5 seconds. The X6 gets the Eco Pro, Comfort, Sport and Adaptive drive modes. The adaptive mode is pretty intuitive, and I enjoyed staying in that for a good blend of agility and comfort. The car also has electronic stability control, ABS or anti-lock braking, dynamic traction control, cornering brake control, and other driver aids like even the parking assist, all as standard. The 6 airbags and ISOFIX child seat mounts are also standard. An optional extra though is the panoramic glass roof with the Sky Lounge ambient light feature. Now remember, the xDrive 40i is available in the X-Line and M Sport trims. The one with me is the M Sport. Now, despite me wanting to spend all my time only in the driver's seat, I get it. At 95 lakh rupees, a lot of buyers are going to spend time back here. And so, yes, in keeping with that, let me reassure you that comfort here is not a problem. Despite the sloping, dropping roofline, things down here are great. You've got a nice sense of space. You've actually got great headroom and nice back angle, good seats. And I don't have to tell you this, but of course at this end of the market, fit and finish is excellent. It's impeccably done. On both the X-Line and this one, you'll find that there are of course some options to choose from, but more or less you will get everything at its absolute premium. You can throw in of course some optional things extra, like a screen back here for entertainment, but in terms of comfort and sense of space, no complaints. Now, of course, if you want a better sense of space, you can get the X5 or shell out even more and get the X7. The boot space is pretty good at 580 liters. Fold down the 20-40-40 split seats in the rear and you can go up to 1530 liters. Optional equipment also includes the ambient air package and head-up display, besides the soft touch door closing function. The Harman Kardon sound system and those screens that I talked about that come with the rear seat entertainment package are also optional. As I already mentioned, the new BMW X6 is priced at 95 lakh rupees. The same price applies to both trims because they have different configurations of some of their equipment and features. And I have to say, overall, that seems way better positioned than the rivals, existing and upcoming, and that's cars like the Audi Q8, the Porsche Cayenne Coupe, and the Mercedes-Benz GLE Coupe.